Welcome back everyone to the channel. This is Stéphane on the French Cooking Academy. Now last week I did say we will be talking about Mauviel cookware again, and this week's recipe we're going to be using a 24 centimeters saute pan from Mauviel. This is the M-Cook series, very useful for home. But the reason I'm doing this is because many people don't know, first off, why should you use a saute pan, how to use it, and is it a good pan to have? So we're going to run a few tests. We're going to use a recipe called the bough Stroganoff. From the name, you know, it's not exactly French, it originated from Russia, but the recipe has been adapted in France and many other countries. And the reason we're using that recipe, because it's a simple one and it uses all saute techniques. We have saute onions that we have to do in that pan, saute mushrooms, saute rump steak, add a bit of cream, paprika, salt, pepper, maybe a bit of cognac if we want to, a bit of parsley, and we are done. We've got an easy meal you can make any time of the week. Let's go. As always, let's start with the mise en place for this recipe. You'll find all the ingredients listed in the video description, but here it's all about very thinly sliced onion, thinly sliced mushrooms, because it's going to be sauté, so it's going to be very quick. And here also strips of meat about this size. You can make cubes if you want, the whole thing. Don't make it too thick, because keep in mind that everything is just going to be a few minutes here, a few minutes there, a few minutes there, okay? For the rest, just weigh the cream, have the parsley ready. One hint for the mushrooms, only cut them just before you put them in the pan, otherwise they may start to oxidize and get a little bit black. Now let's start the recipe. So the first thing, in the saute pan I've added a tablespoon of oil, a nudge of butter, and I'm using a medium heat because these pans, for instance, they're very thick and very efficient at heat transfer, and there's no need to use a high heat. And there's one thing I've learned with these Mauviel pan, they're very mellow. When you cook, it's all kind of, you know, let the pan get into temperature and let it do its things, and then it performs really, really good. All right, my mix is nice and foamy. And you see already how it chants? Very good. Now the saute pan, what's the advantage when you use these types of pan? Is that you can saute ingredients like this, but afterwards, if you have a sauce, because of the high edges, it's very convenient. So not really great for very long style of cooking, but cooking with a saute plus sauce, it's really good, and you'll see the use. So you can do your saute gently here. We're going to leave these to cook for 5 minutes and just get them not colored. We're not going to brown them at all, and we're just going to wait until they're a bit translucent. Alright, so this has been 5 minutes in. As you can see, my onions are cooked, and now we can start to see some slight traces, very light, of brown. So I'm going to reserve this and we're going to saute the mushroom. Now for the mushroom, what I'm going to do is add a little bit of butter again. Bottom of my pan. My god, this is like medium heat. I have to even put that lower because it really cooks well. You don't have to do this like this. You can put the mushrooms over the onion, but I just wanted to test run that pan to see the performance in a saute situation, because sauteing is something that is very common in cooking. So let's try to saute mushrooms, and here we go. Up, all the mushrooms in. About 3.5 minutes in, and all the water is already gone. And we enter the stage of that saute. So the saute is you hold the pan, you know, and you're going to be moving things around like that. That's why I like this pan. And you can shake things around, you see, it's not flipping out of the pan, which is super handy. So for that recipe, we don't want to really brown the mushrooms. So I'm going to leave them like that and then immediately put the onion back and mix everything together. Alright, so when it's warmed up, you can correct the seasoning if you want, and now it's time to saute the meat. So for that, you always need to remove everything. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to stop here because I don't want to have any kind of marks. I'm going to keep a clean pan so we can saute the meat. So I'm going to reserve this in a bowl and then do the meat now. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to add about what? Shall we add a tablespoon of oil? Okay, we're going to wait for the pan to... Oh, I think it's already hot actually. I have to wait, and let's have a look. Ooh. Okay. Sizzling. Let's see if we can overcrowd that pan a little bit. See how it's going to perform with like lots of meat. A bit more there. Why not on the side there? Boom. I think it's releasing some water there. I think it's been more than 2 minutes. Let's see, it's detaching, but okay. Okay. Now we got, no, we got some brown, okay, it's, ooh, yeah, no, sorry, maybe I've been, it's a bit of an overcrowded pan, so that's a tough thing for a pan, but I think we get some browning, even though, there is some water coming out of the steak, but that's the quality of my steak, is maybe not top notch. But all in all, I have to say, not bad, look at that. For an overcrowded pan, still managed to brown on medium heat. The poor pan, I'm really putting through its paces here, like this is browning, as you can see, pretty good. I'm gonna put it out of his misery, I'm just gonna mix everything together. But look, it did perform on overcrowded. It's not super brown like you get a mega crust and because the juice of the meat, but this is to be expected, but it's not too bad. So we're gonna continue with the recipe. So when you got the meat, I'm gonna pour everything, okay, back to medium heat. And then we're gonna add the onions and all of the rest in. And then mix the whole lot very well. Right, so let's resume this. So this is how it looks like. You don't have to, but I'm adding a bit of cognac in here because I like the taste. You don't have to do a flambé. And this is where you're gonna mix this to deglaze a little bit with the cognac. We're gonna add about a tablespoon or more of paprika and mix the whole lot. The paprika is really up to you. It depends if you want to have more of a reddish kind of tone to your dish, a bit more like a goulash, Eastern Europe, or you can put less. It's really up to you. When you've got that, I'm going to put salt and pepper. Okay, so a hint of salt in there. I had already, that's for the meat. A ground of black pepper. Okay, and we're going to finish off with the cream. All right, so we're all done. As you can see, the pan still performs. It's still boiling away on medium heat, and all what we're going to do now is to finish this off with cream, and that is really what's gonna make the dish. Adjust the color. I'm gonna reduce the heat to low, mix gently, and then I'm gonna leave this to simmer not for long. Remember, the steak is just being sizzled, like a stir fry almost, and we're just gonna leave this to reduce a little bit, just a few minutes, and then it is done. And there's not much to it. It's a very simple dish. And we're all done. Look at this. The dish is bubbling away. I'm gonna add a finishing touch of parsley on here, just to bring some color. Mix that in, and we're ready to serve. And here we are. So this is the boeuf stroganoff, in French, the beef in the way of Stroganoff, that Russian style of Eastern European that has, the cream, the paprika, the mushrooms, and the onion. But it is very an entry-level dish you learn at culinary school at the very beginning, and all what this is teaching you is how to saute an onion, how to saute a mushroom, saute a piece of meat, add a bit of cream to create some kind of sauce. The big particularity of this is that the steak is just, you see, it's a saute steak. It's not stewed or anything like that, so let me try. Okay. Oh, well, I think it's better than I thought. Honestly, for such a few ingredients in there, it's not bad. On a whim like this, when you don't know what to make, what I like is that the steak really has that feeling that you almost like pan fry the steak, cut it into slices, and then it's blended with that lovely creamy sauce, simple mushrooms, onion, and the cognac does add a new dimension. I think you definitely add a bit of white wine or a bit of cognac, but basically it's that simple. This is how we make a beef stroganoff. So now let's wrap up this week's video. And that's it for this week's video. So let's quickly wrap up what we've seen. Of course, how to make the boeuf stroganoff, and most important, how to use a saute pan. And what is the usage of the saute pan? It is really that action of using to sauteing ingredients. And then you can add a liquid in the pan without being scared of all the liquid overflowing everywhere, and you can create an instant sauce like we've seen here with the cream. You could add stock, wine, or anything you want, and that is perfect for this kind of one-pot recipe. So I hope this was helpful and you enjoyed the recipe. As always, you will find all the details in the video description. If you want to follow me, you can do so on Facebook, on Patreon. You can also post your pictures of the recipe you make on Instagram, #French Cook Academy, and don't forget, we've got our online culinary schools if you want to learn more about all these culinary techniques from France. But that's it for me, and I'll see you all next week for another French cooking video. Take care all, bye bye.